También. Infatti, you are seated, I will be seated. Okay.
Thank you very much for being here and for being with us since the very beginning of this venture. And some cases maybe 30, 50 years, even more, of the 3 weeks as we have justice. And for some of us, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks after we look at a very important movement that from Europe, in Madrid, we are still leading with the workers. Thank you. So I have 2 hands. So I have the honor to tell you the ingredients of our project to the challenges that have been mentioned before by all of you. I love the word pushing the boundaries, breaking frontiers. You mentioned the word frontiers, and at the end, this is what we are aiming at. As Maria Teresa mentioned, from the very beginning, even more than 40 years, we are working with the United Nations and the WHO from the technological and health technology perspective on how we can contribute to the global challenges that we have ahead of us. And believe us, this is not only a poetic exercise. Behind this connection, there is continuous work that our community, scientific and professionals, are still doing. The globality of such challenges tells us that it is time to include one layer to the economical and societal one that we so far were fighting and trying to connect, which is the planet. So one of the things that we realize in our project, maybe in the second and last part, but there is continuity on that, is that we have to include in our equations, formula and health technologies, impact in real time on the planet. I may seem naive, but these are the challenges that we have ahead of us. In our project, we have used the conceptual, but not only conceptual metaphors. So we are trying to understand in the digitalized world and in the very hyper-connected planet that we have, how we can face these global challenges, enhancing a fundamental element for the hospital of the future. The workers, the robots, so the future workers, and the locations, the infrastructures. Working with the reference organization means also trying to build reference elements for the society. That's why we are talking about reference use cases that are fundamentally linked with the 3 basic elements that you need to create a hospital. We are taking maybe Southern Europe reference by law constitution to create hospital. You need to create infrastructure, workers and facilities, and therefore clinical and diagnostic, so health service management, the management of devices, goods and facilities, and being prepared for disaster and managing that are the things that we have to take into account if we want to build something that can be referent for the other regions that have been also mentioned before. So we have taken the reference elements that continuously we are working with the WHO to conceive technologies for the healthcare sector. So health technology management guidelines, also health technology assessment guidelines, and so forth. So we are in, ODIN has been and still is in continuous touch building reference elements, using them to build a resilient solution. Therefore, we have mapped all these organizations and management standards and making them smarter, so making them semantics, using ontologies to create smart elements and have hyper-connected what we call key enabling resources or key enabling technologies for the hospital of the future and even of the present. And to do that, also building analytics, visual analytics tools to perform cost effectiveness, cost utility analysis for digital technology of the future. Do we know how to evaluate robotics, IoT technology, AI, nanotechnologies for the hospital of the future? Can we build a reference evaluation? Big challenge, but we are trying to provide some solutions to that. And for doing that, our main objective is to build an open-based platform with included reference business model. And we have been traveling all over the world, and believe us, we have seen a very similar presentation for the most important multinational companies that are working on the concept of operating system. So a platform as an operating system for the resources of the hospital or the health or social care of the future. So including, it's going back. Building reference elements that are important for the modern platform of the future, and for including seamlessly key enabling technologies like robotics, IoT, artificial intelligence, and the future ones that will come. ODIN has been the third series of the large-scale pilot that the European Commission has funded, and the coordination team has been leading all the three large-scale pilots. Therefore, we are pioneer by definition in the way we introduce open innovation approaches. So not only we had the cascade fundings to include more than 20 or 30 stakeholders from SMEs, hospital, healthcare system in our ecosystem, but now we are introducing the concept of the ODIN Innovation Living Hub. So it's a living creature to be ready for the challenges of the world. And for this reason, we have challenged ourselves to engage discussion with other complex regions of the world, and you will see later on how we did that. So these are the ingredients of the project, and we are very happy to share with you all in the next session. But before that, I leave the floor to our
thank you.
Holy Father.
Do I have a... Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to tell you welcome again to this event that we have prepared with care since a time ago. You see that ODIN is a multi-phase project. It's not easy to understand very well. But in this event, we want to focus in three fundamental aspects of ODIN. First of all, we want to understand the context. Second, we want to understand a little bit more about ODIN. And the third, we want to show you what we plan to make a bigger impact in that context. So for that reason is that we have organized this event in the three sessions that you have in the agenda. The first is we will showcase the most important achievements, innovations, and experience that has been produced by ODIN in all this time to address the fundamental challenges. One of them will show in the slide of the first slide of Giuseppe. The second session, our distinguished guest will debate about the challenges for the healthcare and for the transition and digital transformation of healthcare and hospital settings, in particular with ODIN's environment take place. So it is to understand the context of ODIN. And the third is that we want to share with you what are our strategy and plans in order that we bring solutions to that challenges that has been identified in a long period of time after the conclusions of the project time. So we are thinking in what we did and how we did has a value for the future. As we are talking about hospital of the future, this project do not end today or in a few days, but also we have a plan to project in the future, incorporating, and this is what we want to show you, how we plan to incorporate it, all the participants, all the actors in this ecosystem. So not to delay anymore, I will give again back the floor to Paula.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The next session.
Sergio,
Thank
Giuseppe
you.
for the welcome. So now that we know all the context, let's get to know the real innovations. So I'd like also to introduce you to Alejandro Medrano, our ODIN Platform Manager, so that we can see these real actions, these innovations in action. So Alejandro, thank you.
That future, that hospital of the future, and how we reached some conclusions from the project. It's also, oh, that's me. It's also difficult to showcase all what we have achieved in the project. So what we did is we divided those reference use cases Giuseppe was talking about into challenges. Challenges that the hospital needs and challenges that we have addressed within our project through the technology development that we have done. The first challenge we call logistics, locating and transporting resources inside the building. As you can imagine, logistics is a very hard problem. Not only you can imagine, we have suffered. If we remember back some years ago, through the COVID pandemic, we had huge supply chain issues that affected all of us, and hospitals are not immune to this. With the particular that hospitals are critical infrastructure, and they need to operate very smoothly, even within their walls. It's not just transporting, it's also human factors, distributing the goods, the process that goes into logistics. All this has to be balanced and allows different elements like safety, how these goods are safely transported, regulatory aspects that leverage how this is done in a more or less standard way. Expenses, talk about the economics that affect logistics, as well as, and what we are mostly always interested in, is these clinical outcomes in the hospital. What we did in the project, okay, I have to press 2 times, remind me, is we have developed some robots. In this first challenge, what we are going to see is Osbot, and I have to apologize that Osbot is not here with us today. Robots take no vacations. They are working right now on location, which is fantastic news for us. So the next best thing is watching Osbot in action. As you've seen, Osbot is integrated. You can call it with IoT devices. It's a modular system where we have the cabinet and the mobile unit that engage with one another and then enable the transportation of goods throughout the hospital. In this case, this is in Poland, it is transporting blood samples from where they are taken to the laboratory. It is, maybe you'll see this robot is a very purposely built robot, but it is also designed with the human in consideration. As you can see, it signals where it's turning, it has a screen to interact with the system, for humans to interact with it, and Yeah, and it also has this modular approach where the items that are put into the robot are tracked. So we see there that the robot keeps track of what is inside. This is our pilot in Madrid. Again, hotspot, very busy around Europe. And as you can see, it's also navigating complex environments. This is just a test. It's avoiding mapping, continuously mapping its system. And it's also, I think it's important to highlight that it's not just that we have this single robot. We designed the system so that there can be multiple robots. So when we design a mission for the robot, the nearest or the best available robot is summoned to execute that mission. So that's challenge one, the logistics, and these are the partners, our pilots, our hospitals that have been, and our technological providers that have participated, bringing this challenge alive. For challenge two, we center on the patient experience. Patient care, monitoring and tracking the clinical process for each patient, end to end. This means that when a patient arrives to the hospital, there's a very complex process behind that. And the patient may not be aware, but certainly this is a very complex system that starts with admission. We have nursery, diagnosis, treatment. It also includes in the hospital food and nutrition, housekeeping. And each of these elements, it's a universe on their own. 2 times. So what we developed is different solutions. The first solution I think we are going to see is, no? Let me watch the video, not yet. Remember right now what the first solution is, but there are different solutions. Yeah, exactly, another robot. The first solution is a very interesting solution where we use social robots to welcome patients to the sleep ward in Charité Hospital. And as we see here, the system, the robot, is completely autonomous. We see here the artificial intelligence planning its route, avoiding obstacles, watching and interpreting the scenes, and also interacting with the patient. In this case, the patient arrives at the bed safely. The robot will say, "This is your bed. Someone will be here with you shortly. Please be comfortable." And at this point, again, we see this universe, this complex process coming into fruition. Integrated support, treatment, what is going to happen next. This is, again, full universe going on. And we have solutions for each of these universes, but today we are going to focus on food and nutrition and the intersection with logistics. In this case, the patient, for privacy reasons, we brought his face, has finished his meal. His meal has been delivered previously by the robot. And now, before it's taken away, the robot scans, he identifies the patient, and then takes a snapshot of the meal, analyzing what the nutritional value that has been taken by this patient, therefore keeping track of that information that otherwise would have been kept track by nurses who have many patients to take care of. So again, interesting leverage of use of robots for hospital workers there. Again, our partners participating and providing evaluation and technologies for this challenge are there. For challenge 3, we want to dive a little bit further into those universes. In this case, we are supporting diagnostics, enhancing medical diagnosis with AI tools. The idea here is, this is all the rage. We are talking about AI. This is the world that we are living in. And of course, what I have to say, you have to be very trained to understand and diagnose different images for diagnosis. So we have developed tools that help healthcare professionals in this process. Okay, well, anyway, again, artificial intelligence is very difficult to demonstrate, but we have certain solutions for that. Maybe it's more interesting to look also into treatment, which we also have brought in and enhanced with AI. So again, using AI, not just for diagnosis, but also for the treatment. 2 times, remember, not 3. For the treatment, we have, again, developed different use cases, different solutions that are all integrated into the platform. These solutions generate also a wealth of data. They are integrated with, they can potentially be integrated with other solutions. In this case, we see the same robot as we saw before with the food. This is the Tiago robot at UCBM in Roma. Again, identifying the patient and allowing the patient to perform rehabilitation, physical rehabilitation exercise, while the robot is monitoring that these exercises are performed correctly.
Correct.
This information of the full exercise program is then stored and shared with the clinicians in order to keep track of that system. This is what the robot sees. As you see, it keeps track of the angles, the repetitions, the correct repetitions, as well as the not successful repetitions, because this is important data to take care into the hospital. Another treatment that was deemed important by hospital managers is to ensure that patients wear their oxygen masks correctly. So we saw there in the first snippet the oxygen mask, the small oxygen mask strapped in correctly. Then in the second we saw that the oxygen mask was not right. And then in the third one there's a different oxygen mask used. So we can adapt the artificial intelligence with cameras to different oxygen masks. Again, our thanks to our partners in both supplying and validating these technologies for treatment. And I would like to add one more thing about a particularity of the ODIN platform. The ODIN platform is a federated platform that not only enables different hospitals to exchange data, resources, and services to offer a better global network of healthcare services, but in this case, we could take those solutions that we saw, physical rehabilitation and oxygen mask therapy, to the home of the patient, having a sort of mini ODIN platform at home to handle all those operations at home. So again, improving patient experience and clinical outcomes. Finally, challenge 5, it's about disaster preparedness, preparing for any threat. Like Giuseppe just mentioned, this is one of the key pillars of hospitals being hospitals. And it's not just about catastrophes, outside events that are emergencies. We can have emergencies on different domains within the hospital, like cybersecurity, external factors like pandemics, how we track this inside the hospital, physical security, ensuring that certain areas of the hospital are only accessed by specific personnel, resiliency. So it is, again, a full-on universe of universes, this security, this disaster preparedness, especially when we take into account any threat and we analyze all the threats that can happen within a hospital. So what we developed, again, we are using artificial intelligence. In this case, we are going to look into the hospital in Madrid, where first we are going back to Berlin in Charité for the sleep ward. What we are looking at is the artificial intelligence working for one single patient and looking at emergencies in this for this single patient. Emergencies that affect their treatment or that can affect their security. So one is detecting when the patient goes out of the region that they need to be, has left the room, they are not supposed to leave the room. This is an individual emergency. And now we are in Hospital Clínico San Carlos. We are looking at one of the corridors of this hospital. And as you can see, the artificial intelligence is already identifying persons here. What we can do with this kind of information is keeping track of how many people are in this corridor, therefore apply to individualized and dynamic evacuation plans, or even keep track of contagion within the hospital. So once again, thanks to these 3 hospitals that have participated in validating this challenge within the ODIN project. So now I would like to invite our panel of experts to discuss a bit more in depth different aspects of the ODIN platform, its solutions. First off, Daphne, she's our head of AI, the whole work package of AI. Then Pilar Sala, our platform and IoT head, also innovation manager of the ODIN project, and Leandro, please Leandro, wherever you like, perfect. And online, because he's, again, takes no vacation and he's our head of robotics, we have full professor Gastone to join us shortly. Hello, Gastone, we can hear you.
Hello, good morning.
No? No coffee break, not yet. You still have to listen to us. He will appear shortly. Okay, there he is. Thank you. Hello, Gastone.
Hi, nice to see you.
Okay, so in this part of the slot, what we are going to look at is have different questions. Very good. So we now really do see you. Excellent. Have a discussion around different questions, and I like my expert panel to have some thoughts about each of these questions, and I think this will be important to highlight important aspects of the technologies that we have developed within the hospital. I would like to start by taking the approach of thinking about the technology and think about how the technologies developed in ODIN have benefited the hospitals, either improving workflows, the different aspects affecting healthcare providers, the patients, the overall process of healthcare. So, yeah, maybe Gastone, we would like to start with some thoughts on robotics, right?
Yeah, sure. It's my great pleasure to be remotely with you. And Odin for me, I'm a roboticist, was and is a great experience. Actually, a robotic machine itself, I would say, despite being now a sophisticated, intelligent mechatronic system, is nothing without being integrated in a digital complex environment. And this is actually one of the main results of the ODIN project. Today, there is the maturity. There is the maturity of digital technologies and now robotics. So the machine can evolve into connected, I would say, complex aware and context aware and complex environments, able to sharing information with other robotic units and also through the healthcare digital infrastructure to the rest, let's say, of the hospital services. So this integration now, robotics itself within this complex digital environment can really unlock what are the advanced functionalities of robotics itself and transforming this simple machine in truly game-changing technologies. So yeah, I would like to thank very much for having the chance as a roboticist to be part of this great ecosystem. And this great ecosystem, I'm sure that will support properly and improve socioeconomics and clinical outcomes, and so provide great impact on the healthcare providers and services.
Yeah, in that line, talking about, as you mentioned, the connected infrastructure, I think this is one of the main outputs and results from ODIN. Through the main core components of our platform, the enterprise service bus, what we allow is to connect seamlessly different types of resources in the hospital. IoT, the AI services, and the robotics that allows also to improve this and enhance this data collection, real-time data collection from the hospital and from the processes and even the actors that are interacting with those processes. And the impact is immense because this real-time data is allowing us to optimize the processes and to improve the efficiency of the services in the hospitals.
Yeah, so accessing real-time data and even accessing data that was not previously available to healthcare professionals, enabling new workflows and monitoring those workflows for clinical delivery, health delivery, and yeah. So I find that very interesting that it's creating new type of health even within the hospital thanks to that data.
This is what you said is we have the opportunity to have an enhanced data collection with this, let's say, all this.
You're fine. You are doing great.
With the use of all these IoT devices and sensors, we have an enhanced data collection and for real-time monitoring. And of course, in ODIN, we have used our AI tools in order to build some diagnostic tools that also in order that help the clinicians to have a better, let's say, a better accuracy in the treatment. We can have a personalized treatment for patients, of course, and all this can help the patients to get out of the hospital sooner. This is the goal, to help the patient in order to go home and feel safer and sooner. And of course, when you save, what we say in Greece, and I guess it's what we say everywhere, when you save time, you save also money, let's say.
Right.
Because the goal of the use of technology is not to, of course, it's not to replace people. Our goal is to help people do their jobs better, to get better soon. And in this way, we can also save some money and use those money in other ways to improve our infrastructure, improve our healthcare, let's say, processes.
Right. Yes, so very interesting how your thoughts on artificial intelligence is as a tool. It's not here to replace anyone. It's here to help to get better health outcomes, get faster home, get more accurate, better results, less comorbidities.
More free time to use that time in other tasks.
Yeah, so exactly. Not only money, and even the money makes the world go round, as we know, but also time. Time is gold, we also say. And investing that time so that people are more efficient in their time. They can not only devote more time on attending more patients, but the patients that they attend, they have better care, right? So I find this fascinating. I think it brings us very nicely to our next question, which is about putting the patient in the center. So how do we think these technologies, the AI, the robotics, automation in hospitals, data, like we just said, can keep patient-centered approach, like was saying, like the previous speakers were saying, that it's so important to keep the patient at the center of all this, despite the technologies. How can we make the technology more human?
I think this is a very crucial point. We are at the age of the change. We are really in the moment in which everything is going to enter the everyday use of it. It's going to change. I mean, it's getting out of our lab, it's entering the hospital. So to be patient-centric, we really have to focus on the fact that healthcare systems are bifocal systems. So there is not one center which is the patient. It's actual two focus. One is the patient, the other one is the healthcare worker. And if we want to keep the patient to the center, we really need to keep the healthcare workers to the center. So all the things we do, especially when we think about hospitals, are addressed to the needs of healthcare professionals so that they can put the patient to the center. This is important. Thinking just to the patient is a theoretical mistake, because we are enabler for healthcare workers to do their job better on patient, putting patient to the center. What Daphne was saying is crucial. Often, if you think, you ask to whoever you know, which works in this domain, doctors, nurses, and probably many of them were dreaming to be a doctor when they grown up, no? But certainly in their kids' dream, they were certainly not thinking about the bureaucracy, answering tons of emails, having to take care of legal aspects, having to take care of logistics. So what we do with our technology, we enable them to go back to their own dream. So when you are a kid and you dream to be a doctor, you think that you and your patient taking care of people. That's what we do. We enable them to go back to their original dream.
Great. I think this is an important message coming from, again, the head of our pilots, and I think he speaks for not just the healthcare professionals in our pilots that probably have stated this, but I think from us as the technology experts, we also think that it is important for us to build our dreams, helping people, and whether it's the patient directly or the healthcare professional is also very fulfilling. I find fascinating also, maybe Gastone can dive a little bit further into how can we put the patient center or the human in the middle of robotics.
Sure. So yeah, let me confirm first that is absolutely a dream to be part of the process of supporting the healthcare. And following Leandro's talk, I would say every day I wake up, I tell myself, no matter how advanced robotics is. So the point is that we have the master to focus on a human-centered design, so producing, developing robots that are, let's say, focused on the user's needs, preferences, behaviors. So a robot must be intuitive, accessible, and integrated into the daily life of clinical workflow. And this is a very, let's say, important, has huge work. So we have to just avoid, let's say, doing the most complex device we have in mind as engineers, but I'm not talking just about engineers, all experts, experts of communities can, let's say, flow in the development of robots to support, let's say, and to adapt them to people, not the way around. So we have to foster trust, usability, and acceptance of robotics. And that's very important. That can be achieved by a user-centered design that can also contribute, for my opinion, to the democratization of robotics, okay? Making advanced technology accessible to a broader population and reducing barriers to adoption. So we must focus on patient, human, user-centered design in order to enhance, as an outcome, the quality of life and address, let's say, the real-world challenges effectively.
Right. I find very interesting the concept you mentioned of trust. It's about ensuring that robots, technology, IoT, AI can be trustworthy, that in this domain they are safe, that they are secure, that we find these ways of being one step ahead of any potential threat. Again, these technologies are becoming critical infrastructures on themselves. So it is relevant in this context of wealth of data to think about that points of where can we trust the data? Can we trust these flows, these technologies?
But also, I think one of the positive things in our platform is having considered those from the design, the first stage of design. So we have incorporated the different layers of security, of trustworthiness, even specific technologies, the more advanced on blockchains and so on the building of the platform, so we can be sure that it can be trusted, that all the data that go through the platform that we collect is reliable, so it can really provide value after it goes to the AI solutions or more simpler orchestrating services around that. But I think that this is a really point to highlight about ODIN, that from the very core, we have embedded this privacy and security and trustworthy characteristics in them.
But without leaving aside the other side of the coin, enabling those who need to access the data, the access of the data, the quality of the data, ensuring that all that is properly managed for the workflow, which I think is extremely relevant, because at the end, one way to address security is to think that security is as good as the user that use it. So as well as safety, I think the AI Act talks about how different risks of AI is there. Higher risk AI might not be allowed, but there is certain risk that is acceptable, with the understanding that people using these technologies are aware of how to use properly these technologies and safely. So that brings us to the next block regarding staff and how these technologies particularly help staff endure their tasks. And maybe, Leandro, you want to talk a bit about that training and yeah, right?
This is crucial. This is really a crucial point. Often during the project, we came back on this concept. There is no possibility to deliver technology unless healthcare workers are on board. And they will never be on board if they are not trained, if they don't know what we are bringing to them. So education, continuous lifelong education is crucial. And particularly now, because this technology we are deploying is going to be obsolete in 6 months, often in 12 months, in 18 months. So this is not anymore the time in which we could have studied at the university and then spend, I don't know, all our life doing what we learned. No? Now what we study at the university is going to be probably obsolete in a couple of years, in 5 years maximum. So we have to reconceive, and actually we are doing that, the way in which we train people. We're not anymore making them experts. We are making them experts of learning. So they really need to become Olympionic of learning, and face the change without any stress. They know they're being capable to learn a lot of things in their own life. And now they see another challenge and they just jump on board. But we have to be very close to them. University has a huge responsibility in this moment. We have to work together with industries, with hospitals, with all the stakeholders to be sure that we remove any, suspect about innovation, because human being is like that since thousands of years. We fear what we don't understand. So first thing is really to work together to educate each other, understand each other, bring us to the level in which we understand each other, and then we have a chance to introduce innovation.
This is a very, very interesting message, bringing the past and the future together through change. I need to highlight that we also had this task within the project, and I have here my colleague who led it, about change management and how this has become increasingly important for not only introducing technologies, but to also using technologies for this change, right?
I would like to continue from what Leandro said. We have to make the healthcare professionals, everyone that works in a hospital, to make them understand and feel that technology is not an enemy. Technology is their friend. They have to use the technology in favor of the hospital, in favor of the patient. And in order to do that, as Leandro said, the goal is to train them. It is an ongoing process, the training. They have to be trained as we have to be trained every day for the rest of their working life, let's say, in order to feel confident to use the technology to help them in their everyday work. And in order to achieve such a good training process, this training path has to be designed with care. We have to think about this training process. We have to design some, let's say, real-life scenarios that have to be trained in those real-life scenarios, that they will understand that this is what they are going to deal in a real-life situation. Of course, we can take it a step further, and if we want to make them feel more confident, we can also involve them in the design of this technology. We can also involve both, let's say, the patient, as we said before, and the healthcare professional in the design of those assistive tools, in everything, with the AI, with the robotics, with the use of IoT devices, sensors, etc. If they feel that they are involved in this design, then they will feel confident to use all these tools. And the thing is to understand their needs. If we understand their needs in a good way, then everything will work fine.
Absolutely. I'll go even a step further and say that maybe technology can also be used in this process. Maybe even AI into developing those new processes.
This training process, yes.
Exactly. But I don't know, maybe we need to think also about other aspects of this human-centered and co-design process. We need to think about maybe ease of use.
Yeah, that's taking back again what Gastone was saying about the human-centered design. So it's our duty, and this is also something that we have incorporated in the project to really put forward this human-centered design in the design of all the tools, in the way that we facilitate and we make the tools easy to use, very accessible, and really improve the acceptance of those. But this goes hand in hand with Daphne was saying, so involving all the different actors in the design of the technology. So as such, I think that this is a very positive outcome from the project, that we have worked from the needs of the hospitals. We have built the project based on what their pains were, what their needs were, and from there we have tried to put the technology that best serve these needs. So, and I think that's crucial for the success of the introduction of this technology in hospitals.
Correct. Right. Which I think it's also, there's another side of introducing technology, not only from the design phase, co-designing and involving the patients, but also ensuring that the evaluation side is there, that we involve also patients and real users, healthcare professionals, in testing, evaluating, giving their thoughts on how the technology actually gives them the power that we were discussing on more time, more efficiency, less costs. So that actually brings us very nicely to our last section, which is the thinking about how can we say that the technologies involved in ODIN have actually been a success.
I think this is not just a part of our project. This is probably the most successful part. So we brought on the table a methodological framework for introducing technology in a way that this then was accountable, and it was then very easy to evaluate our contribution. The framework that Giuseppe shown was inspired by the WHO, but I can tell you a small secret. All the project was inspired by talking with a number of very experienced colleagues. One was Herman. We were once having a dinner, and you told us, to Giuseppe and myself, how important it is to have in life tools for managers. And so this triggered a lot of thinking among myself, Giuseppe, and many other friends. We came out with this framework, which to me, we often call it as the Mendeleev table for innovation. Doesn't matter if we manage to make it happen, but once we have deployed the methodology, other people will come and will tell you, hey, I have a solution to fit in there. Is this compatible with your platform? Is it your platform capable to introduce? Can we together put this in place and then prove that this is cost effective? So the point is not this robot, this AI, this IoT solution, and not even this particular cost-effectiveness study or that, but the fact that we have enabled now many other people to follow the same way we did. We have had wonderful experience in which we have been putting together robots with AI, with IoT, for clinical application, for diagnosis, for therapy. And that's probably, something which has never happened before.
Right, and one thing that I think is also important, and maybe Gastone can say a little bit more, is bringing the technology to real scenarios, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So at one point we had to, let's say, assess, evaluate if the technology that we co-design and following a proper, let's say, pipeline were suitable for hospitals. For what? For the unmet needs that we figure out at the beginning of the project, co-design also pilots with end users. So thanks to the clinical partners of the project, we had the chance to test in a realistic setting our solution in order to be sure that our solution address the actual clinical needs. And this approach was very, very much important, and it was part of the methodology in order to also re-identify after new challenges, gather user feedbacks, and fine-tune systems to enhance performances, usability, step by step. Okay, so it is a living process that allow us, I hope so, to shorten the gap between real innovation, so something new, to practical application in clinics and in the healthcare sector. So we want to accelerate the adoption, maximizing the impact on patient care, operational efficiency, and thanks to the methodology of ODIN, I hope we contributed on that direction.
Great, thank you.
Now the project has come to an end. Everything is finished. All the solutions are, let's say, implemented in pilot site. And now it's the time to actually see what we have done, to measure our results, to see what we have done, is it helpful, and how helpful is it? And there are certain ways, let's say, to measure, to count these results. For example, regarding the AI assistive tools, we could we could measure the accuracy of those tools. There are certain metrics, of course, we can use, and we can see if they have correct, let's say, results. Also, since we have used AI and all those tools in, for example, the supply chain management, we could also see if there are actual better results in this sector. We have used AI tools in order to calculate the needs for resources. What is the gain in regard of money, in regard of resources, in regard of time? All those things, of course, can be measured, can be calculated, and then we can see the actual benefit of our project. Of course, we could also measure the patient satisfaction. This is something we should not forget. We could also measure if the patient is satisfied by the implementation of all this technology, of all those solutions that we have implemented. We could also ask the patients with simple surveys and questionnaires what we have done with, what we have used, what they have used, all those tools that they use. Are they helpful? What do they think of those tools? And then we can see their satisfaction, because everything comes back to the patient, of course.
Of course, yes. Since we got plenty of time, I would like to ask our experts in a couple of words, what are your biggest outcomes or your highlight of the project? Maybe starting with Leandro with the pilots. What, if anything, if anyone who just tune in, what they need to know from your perspective, they must know about the project?
Well, I think that the main lesson learned is that we can do it. When we started, people were scared. I mean, it seems that it was a difficult moment. I don't know if you remember, but the deadline was postponed because of COVID. We were in lockdown when we filed the proposal. And to me, the most challenging part was to convince people that they were good enough to do that, and it is time to do that. And each of us doesn't have all the strength or the knowledge to do that. But as a team, come on, we can make it, and together we can be much more ambitious than we have been so far. With all the limits of time and COVID and all the limits we have, still we have deployed something which is amazing. Now, it is not too ambitious to think that this can become daily routine in many hospitals in a very short time. It's just a matter of understanding that it is right now happening. Once you believe in that, then come on, things will come.
Yes, so the hospital of the future is now. We need to come to grips with that and start thinking about the next future. The future is always there. Pilar, the same question. What would you think if anyone asked you what is the biggest impact, in your opinion, on ODIN, of ODIN in...
Okay, I would say, I would focus from the technology side. And I would say that I think we have really achieved an amazing level of maturity of the technologies we have used. I think we have focused very much on not reinventing the wheel, on not creating a platform from scratch, not developing tools that were available. So we have relied on mature technologies, on open source technologies, and we have been able to really nicely put them together and in a very nice way to operate it in a real environment. And I think that has really brought us to deploy the pilots with really very limited technical issues. Of course, there were very high innovations in the field of robotics and AI that were integrated, and of course needed a bit more work and needs a bit more integration efforts. But I think in the sum up of that, what I see from the pilots and from the technology we have developed is a very nice kind of ecosystem of technologies that work together very, very well, and that can be really used from the moment now, and can be added new functionalities and new technologies if they serve the needs of a new hospital. And in that sense also, I would like to highlight the Open Innovation Hub. I think also this is a very, very nice outcome that allow us to keep ODIN live, because we are bringing together stakeholders from outside the project. It's not just ourselves dreaming on our project, but people from outside that can pose challenge and push us forward to create solutions for them.
I'd like to put a pin on that. I'll have that question round for next time. Let me ask Gastone about what is his biggest outcome of the project, and then we can, after Daphne, discuss this interesting point of what is the next step for ODIN.
Super, thank you, Alejandro. So I think we contributed to create a reference, a standard. So let me explain what I have in mind now. So at the beginning, I had a robot, difficult to be integrated with the rest of the world. Thanks to the work that the ODIN project did, so setting up, defining the architecture of the digital architecture, and through specific connectors, robots can be integrated. And so what I think that one, I cannot say the biggest because I agree with what my colleagues previously said, and I underlined this, is now having, let's say, a tool for easily integrating endpoints that are our robotic satellites to a digital connected platform. And this is very important towards standardization.
Same question, Daphne.
In the beginning, Maria Teresa de Dotto, in her speech, said that still the hospital of the future is a bit far. You said, I would like to, let's say, rephrase that and say that the hospital of the future now is a bit closer with the solution that our platform has to offer. The biggest, let's say, gift for me is that we managed to, through the platform, through the ODIN platform, we managed to join all those different technologies. We managed to join AI tools, robotics, IoT. We managed to join the pilot's knowledge. Everything worked together really good. We had some problems, but regarding the work we have done, the problems are nothing.
Sure, there's one challenge at a time.
Yes. And the platform has evolved so much. It's something amazing. In the beginning, while you were presenting those videos, it was really emotional for us to see those videos. It was we actually saw our work live. It was
yes, definitely a very emotional moment
yes.
for all of us. Where we, as Maria Teresa said, we were dreaming about what the hospital of the future is, and now we have something to build the path to that future.
It was a bit, it was a bit difficult in the beginning, as Leandro said, because it was quite a strange project. And it was, yes, it's about the hospital of the future. Who knows about the hospital of the future? And then we come to design it and to think about it. But it was a really exciting journey. We met people from different backgrounds, and the thing is that we managed to work together really, really good. This is the actual gift, the actual gain for me.
Right. I'll pick and answer the question myself as part of this panel of experts. I think it is, I agree with all of you, of course. I think one of the key highlights that we bring out of the project is this capability, not just in terms of the technology, which the technology is there and we have demonstrated, but in terms of the processes, the workflow, the teamwork, the methods, how to have that vision and that foresight of thinking ahead, taking one step at a time, and developing all these tools to be able to adapt not only to current circumstances. I happen to be not so far along in the hospital, and I saw this delicate balance of chaos. And it amazed me in wonder how the hospitals actually work. And working on this project has allowed me, and I hope for everyone, to see that that chaos is controlled, and through the technologies we can't just keep piggybacking on that chaos, being able to adapt to it, because that has a function, which is being able to adapt to the circumstance at any point in time. We have workflows, we have AI, we have robotics, all of them are adapting every time to the circumstances at the point, and also brings me to what the question I've introduced earlier that Pilar was mentioning, and I think is really important, is the future of ODIN. How do we think the next steps of ODIN are?
ODIN has no boundaries, of course. What Giuseppe said, we push the boundaries every time. There is no boundaries in the hospital of the future. The platform is there. We can build as many solutions as we can. We can put everything in the platform. it's up to us to design it. We can do whatever we dream to do. This is the...
Sure. Gastone, in your case, I think it is important to mention that I think I properly said this, that OSBOT is already working in real life. So your future for you is even closer than for us. Could you spare some words on the future of OSBOT?
Yeah, sure. So I would love to see let's call it OSBOT, but is not just OSBOT. Is a son or a daughter of ODIN. So it's a completely integrated robotic machine that intelligent, thanks to because it's AI driven and fully connected. So I'm let's say excited to give a future of this robot, startupping the idea and the result we have obtained towards let's just making that a system that can be properly used by hospital. Why I'm saying that? What is the driver that brought me to this idea to startupping and to go on with OSBOT? Is the feedback I received from practitioners, is the feedback I received from hospital, because they just said us, it is useful. It is useful and it's important to have. But again, I'm a roboticist, so I could stress how robotics is important. I don't do that. Robotics is important when it is fully integrated with the digital infrastructure, when it's powered by AI, and when it's following specific needs. Otherwise, robotics is not important.
Very, very. I think you could go on this topic forever. But thank you, Gastone. I'm really inspired by this. Pilar, would you like to continue your thought on the Innovation Hub?
Well, I don't want to spoil too much the next sessions, because I think the next sessions are
from the technology side, from the technology results side, that we have.
I think, as Daphne has said, we are, I think, and as you said, the best part of this is the team. So we are a great team with very capable people. And I think we will continue working together, and sure, we could continue evolving the platform and thinking and imagining new solutions, because we always are like that. So trying to dream of new solutions. It may take some time, some years to materialize or to see those solutions be used in real life. Every time, I think, the times are reduced, so we see the things we do going in the world, in the real world, sooner than before. But I think that's what we will do.
Leandro, final thought. You're as head of pilots, do you think pilots see this in their future, this ODIN platform, whether it's called ODIN or the concept of...
Yeah, I sincerely think so. And we have to be wise enough to stop a second now, okay? Because, okay, future is there, it's coming, but take a second, go back home, take off shoes, glass of wine, relax a little bit, and bring our gratitude to the people in your own hospitals, because from the very, younger IT guy to the most senior clinician, and, we have done all we have done because of the work that has been done in each and every corner of this project, of this wonderful Europe. And this is crucial. But then on Monday, once you have done this enjoy the moment, because that's important. But then we really have to think to tell this story, because there has been a lot of knowledge that we developed in this project. We learned a lot, I learned a lot. And we designed methodologies, which then we deployed through tools. But now it is time to get around knocking door and telling people, hey guys, you have problems, we had problems, we developed some methodologies and tool. Is it possible that this tool is useful to you? And when I say tool, I don't just mean, again, the hardware or the AI, I really mean the way in which we phrased the work we did. So you are in this point of the picture, And when you are there in this stage, that's what you need, 1, 2, 3. And then you move to this stage, and once you're here, hey, keep ready to think that those are the 5 priorities that you have to meet there. You know, probably in some hospitals it's just 4, in other hospitals it's 7. But where you are a leader and you are on the field and you are fighting already with the complexity of making change happen, having a guideline that can drive you towards the first step, it's crucial. So in ODIN, this is the largest result we have achieved. Now it is on our shoulder to bring this around and share with whoever, as we have done during the project. I mean, whoever has come to join, we were super open. And now it is our responsibility to return this back to the real world. Don't forget that we worked with wonderful clinicians, nurses, and managers of hospitals. After meetings, they were visiting patients, you remember, no? And sometimes they were late because the surgery was longer than expected. So we have not been on the moon. They kept doing their wonderful job. We just perceive ourselves as enabler. And something that I love to say is that there is only one way to predict the future, and it is to design yourself the future. And the best position to observe the future is from the rear view window mirror in your car, because to see and observe the future, you have to be in front of it. Otherwise, you don't even understand. And that's our responsibility. I don't think that's a merit, or it's just a large responsibility we have on our shoulders.
Absolutely. Looking the future in the rear mirror is a very, very interesting thought. So that's our time.
No, we still have. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. We still have some spare time until the coffee break. So we are going to do a round of Q&A with the public. So also for the people connected remotely, there is a Q&A box. You can also type down your questions and we will tell them to our panelists. But also for the people here, we open the floor for questions. So, Herman?
Thank you. Well, this is a question that I was thinking before you, Leandro, were participating in just the last minute. As I become older, I give much more importance to frameworks and to methodologies than to particular technologies and to particular use cases. Methodologies and frameworks are very big accelerators of introducing new concepts in the real practice. So how do you think, tangibly speaking, an innovator, an industry, a small, medium enterprise that wants to introduce an innovation or a use case into a hospital can use the frameworks and the methodologies developed in the ODIN project?
Thank you, Herman. And again, I mean, if we deploy those tools, it's exactly because you passed us this need that probably you were feeling for yourself to get clear frameworks to help you facing the complexity of your job. I believe now a company which is interested or an hospital which is interested in changing something as the opportunity to really digging down in what we have produced through our deliverables, our papers, and many of this is coming now in our educational programs. No, I'm starting now Dream Masters for upskilling and reskilling of workers, because this is now important. We have to bring back to taxpayers what we have done through public financing of our work. So it's crucial that we bring back this knowledge as fuel. Otherwise, this stays in our mind and we have not done a good job. So people can dig down in the main deliverables of this project. Some are already public, some are going to be published soon. For many of them, there will be training opportunities, boot camps, executive programs, whatever we will be able to make it together. And I'm sure, we are already planning those things. And understand that they are not alone. Once you are in this world, you have this problem, having this mirroring opportunity, understanding that the same problem is common to the other world, probably slightly different, you know, this is already the first step. You understand that you are not alone. It is not your local problem. The complexity that we are facing in, okay, we are in Madrid, it's fantastic. There was Miguel here. So this is certainly the haven of innovators, because you have institutional support, as I have seen in few other places in the world. But for other places, there are complexities that people feel overwhelmed. So the first thing they have to understand is that it's not their problem, it's not their limit, it's a general challenge. And they can find solutions because of that. If that's a problem that someone else has already solved, well, probably just reading the way they did is not exactly the same problem, is not exactly the same asset, but this can enlighten you to do your own solution in your place. So having the knowledge that this is not your local disaster, it's a general challenge, is crucial. Understanding that other people have been able to solve similar or even more complex challenge is a way to learn. It's not just, you know, they are hero. They are human beings as we are human beings as anyone else. And so if we did it, they can do that. And then obviously we have to be more systematic in spreading this knowledge, because indeed we have accumulated a lot of wonderful knowledge. And now it is time to bring it back in a way or in another. Boot camp, summer school, executive programs, new undergrad or postgrad program, whatever we are capable to put in place. And we have to do that together. Because if now we go back, again, university on this side, industry on that side, hospital on this side, then this means that this is a catastrophic failure. But I know this is not the case. We already have, you know, plans to do things together in future, and anyone is welcome. So together we sit in a room, we design the next program, and we deploy it, because this is really great value.
Thank you. I think we have another question.
Yes. First of all, I think, as Alejandro mentioned, I think it's a good time to celebrate the achievement of ODINs, and great achievement. My question was perhaps to Gastone and Alejandro and all of you. We've managed to achieve really nice results here in Europe. At the same time, we see other regions of the world. I'm thinking in particular to Japan, US perhaps in some cases, but Japan in particular, which since many years has invested a lot in robotics for healthcare, to also for economic reasons, because they have an aging population, they have a ratio of healthcare professional versus aging peoples, which is more and more tense. And how do you see the potential to better cross-fertilize with regions like Japan in terms of these kind of technologies, how to faster, to learn from each other, what could be done, what would be your suggestions, and how do you see Europe compared maybe to Japan or other regions in this context?
Well, Gastone, maybe robotics side, you can answer.
Yeah,
first.
I can start. How much time? I'm joking, because that's a great, it's a very important question. And we may talk about that for a lot, but I think that let me first say that we need to really, let's say, start by what is needed and not thinking about putting robotics everywhere. Okay, so because there are applications where robotics can really provide benefit. And it's important to, I said, to have a human-centered design, but I would also say that human has to be a real partner of robots. Okay, so in several countries, I saw robots just, let's say, being developed for don't want to say substituting, but sometimes yes. Okay, so what I think Europe can really do is to have a brand identity on how to include and introduce robotics. That, you know, we talk about collaborative robotics, we talk about social robotics. We can use words, but the point is that robot has to be designed from the beginning to be part of a human process. Okay, and not vice versa. In terms of cross-fertilization, I think that universities and academia can really support this cross-fertilization, because we can, the first thing that acute researchers must know is the state of the art. Okay, so to be aligned with the state of the art. So we must, if you want to be, let's say, good enough researcher, you have not to reinvent the wheel. You have to be critical on what is the state of the art. So from that, we can build one step ahead. But then this step can be easily shared through publications, through international projects, where, let's say, we can cross-fertilize and work together. So I don't see issues in collaborating. What I would like to stress is that Europe must have, and in a sense, Europe has an identity on how to design robots, because we cannot follow others. I don't want to follow others. We need to have our identity, and we need to understand where Europe can be leader. And I think that robotics is a good collector of expertises. I just leave the words to my colleagues, and then in case I jump again on.
We can be even more ambitious than that. I mean, I have no lessons for you, Sebastian, because you are a crazy ambitious man. What you have done in the IoT community with the Privacy Symposium showed that you are the most ambitious and realistic innovator probably we have in this room. So no lessons for you. But you mentioned Japan. What about Africa? I mean, when you relate our work to other regions, certainly there are some lessons to learn and some comparison constructive to be made with Japan, with US. But there is a lot to learn also in other continents which are in a different moment of their economy and history than we are in Europe or in Japan. And there are a lot of lessons to learn. We said so far that our main value is in the community we bring around. And I work a lot in Africa. We learn a lot. We have a project now with the Medtronic and other partners about Ebola, creating an AI and IoT point of care for early detection of cluster. We have got another project which is all about bringing One Health in 20 universities in Africa. So to me, the comparison should never be just vertical, but it has to be horizontal. So there are things that we can teach and things that we can learn, comparing ourselves with the majestic work which is happening. I said Africa, could have been Latin America or other regions that the fact that probably from the economic point of view, they are where Europe was 10 years ago, doesn't mean they have to follow the same pattern. So there are opportunities there for innovation, which can just skip many mistakes that we have done and do their own mistake, because it's a right of human being to make mistakes. So there are opportunities now to learn, and they are not just in Europe or in Japan or in the States. There are emerging countries, fast growing in terms of per capita income, but also all the ranking of which value education and which are majestic. So let us be that ambitious. Let's think how ODIN can be, partnering with other countries which are not normally out of the radar of innovators.
I would also like to pile on that thought. Absolutely crucial, and I was thinking exactly about developing countries, but also not so rich regions, so that the product that we develop is not only a product for first world problems.
We never like to use the word developing, because Europe is still developing.
Exactly.
Italy is learning a lot. We are all developing. There are countries which have a low income per capita, which is fine. And then they can be much more advanced than we are, culturally speaking. So we talk about low income and high income countries. And this is right. And bringing and designing technology for those countries is not just a matter of cost. It's a matter of understanding that if logistics was challenging in Utrecht, in Rome, in Madrid, it's even more challenging, because you are in a context where you cannot just Google and get a spare part in 24 hours, because Amazon does not arrive in some of those jungles where we have been assembling X-ray machines in Cotonou, in Benin. Now, the problem is that this complexity can help ourselves being a better innovator. That's the reason why we went on the moon. There was nothing to do on the, hey guys, now I tell you another secret. Moon is boring on Friday evening. It's much better to stay in Madrid. We went there because it was pushing our boundary. We came back with a lot of innovation, which were majestic for our everyday life. So partnering with the more complex environment means that we can develop with them new solutions, which doesn't have necessarily to make the same step we did in Europe, can be completely different, and we learn a lot.
Right. I wanted to add the technological perspective to this, that the solutions that we provide are based on open source elements like Pilar Advanced, that they are built on top of robust, already very developed and reliable systems, and that they are applicable, and as we are mentioning, not just to complex scenarios at different complexities, that we are able to embed that difference, cultural difference, technical, technological differences, and be able to adapt to those. So that helps us not just build new hospitals, new technologically advanced hospitals, but also emergency hospitals, campaign hospitals, and even hospitals in other regions as well, using common technologies and those methods, those tools that we were talking about.
Let me give the floor just 1 second to Giuseppe that would like also to point out.
Very shortly, and my role has always been to synthesize things sometimes. So there is another answer to this question in the multiverse of ODIN, which is that, and there is a video that is showing that. We were 1 month ago, the Madrid delegation with the Ministry of Digitalization and the ODIN delegation visiting the Dubai Future Foundation that was talking with the 40 scientists from Japan. And now we are planning to test the Japanese robotic technology integrated with the ODIN platform and tested it with the Dubai Future Foundation. So that's another answer to your question.
We have another question.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. This is Javier Pérez, Associate Professor of different international universities. I'm wondering if you have ever thought if is there any risk between job stability of personnel, I mean nurses, janitory people, is there any trade-off between job stability of these professionals in hospitals and robotics? Don't you think that they are going to be somehow reluctant to adopt this new technology, or on the contrary, they are going to see these robotics as good partners or something like that?
You would like to take that?
For me, very quick answer, no. I mean, it depends what you want to do with this innovation. Obviously, you don't want to replace doctors or nurses in their core activities, which is talking with the patient, being empathic, understanding the real problem, bringing the solution. We want to just remove their other part of the job, the annoying part of the job, the one where they spend probably half of their own time doing things which can be done by a machine. So it's the other way around. We are enabling them to spend more time with the patient, which is really what they want to do. And as it is the situation of healthcare systems across Europe, and not only, is that there is such a huge pressure on that. They don't have even time. If you are a doctor, you are given a lot of time to visit patients, especially, I don't know, family doctors, which is unreasonable. And the reason why you have this little time is because you spend a lot of time on paperwork, on logistics, on cleaning the environment, on ensuring that you have to fill a report. And that's where ODIN gave the main contribution, enabling them to do the real part of their job where they are essential. And no one will lose a job. Probably they will do this job better. That's my personal opinion.
Yes. We are not let's say, in a factory that builds cars. We are in a hospital. And as I said before, our goal here is to make everyone in the hospital, patients, healthcare workers, to think about technology, not to think about technology as an enemy, to think about technology as a friend. It's in our hands to make them feel comfortable, to train them to work with all the technological aspects that we have to offer. Our aim is not to replace them. Our aim is to help them, of course.
I would like to add certain perspective to this. As we mentioned before, we had, as part of one of the core elements or core tasks in our project, change management, which includes all these social elements of replacing fears, barriers, whatnot, and developing these workflows, these guidelines in order to help those e-workers, like Giuseppe mentioned at the beginning. Robots are going to be, robots and other technologies, the same questions apply to all technologies, are going to be just tools to enhance those workers. And we need to think of these tools as such. And I would go even further. If you know about the upcoming or already here AI Act, the regulation is gearing towards ensuring that there are guardrails for keeping the jobs. So ensuring that the AI that is being developed is on one side not risky, and on the other that is actually a tool to ensure that current jobs are not immediately replaced, that the AI, the tools, the robots are elements to enhance, to make workers more productive. And I think we can go back to what Leandro says on living the dream and all that. I think, yes, Gastone, please. Since robotics was an essential part.
No, thanks a lot. Actually, yeah, I just want to reply that we approach the activity with very democratic approach, and I'm saying I didn't find people practitioners that said I don't need that, because we never move a robot in our words and say please use that. So we, starting by focus group, we co-design. The point is the robot perfect? No. But the point is not if the robot is perfect or not, is that a roboticist, a designer, must, let's say, take the feedback, okay? Be open to receive feedback by users. Just go back into his or her garage and come back with a different solution. And this is what we did, because the first time, the reason why we progressed from pre-pilot to pilots and then advanced pilots is for also assessing the progresses, the advancements of our closed loop approach in terms of design and manufacturing. So yeah, robotic can be a solution if robotic is, let's say, discussed and developed in a co-design approach, starting by real unmet needs.
Let us just give the floor to one of our colleagues in the project that is from one of the hospitals, to give their perspective.
Hello, my name is Przemysław Kardos. I come from the Medical University of Lodz, Poland. Indeed, we have been one of the pilot sites in which we have tested the robotic solutions for different purposes. I would like to add to this discussion, let's say, a realistic perspective, because we are talking about potential of robotic solutions to replace human work, which could be perceived as a potential danger, stealing our jobs, stealing our opportunity to work and earn money. But looking realistically from the perspective of the country that I come from, let me remind you, I come from Poland, one of the fastest aging country in Europe. I need to admit that we are running out of the workforce quite fast. Our doctors are older and older. We are desperately looking for nurses which are not happy to work in the healthcare. So in the coming years, this would be even more stressed. and definitely it would allow us to adopt the new solutions easily without any major impact over the jobs. Because at the same time, not only healthcare system in terms of the staff is aging, but also the society is aging. So altogether, the need which is created by the aging society, affected by multi-morbidity over different sectors of the healthcare system is rising. And to address this need, to allow perhaps fewer doctors and fewer nurses in future to handle rising need coming from the multi-morbid patients, these enablers that come from these digital solutions, including robotics, including AI, are of great help. So altogether, I would not be afraid of these solutions. Please come back to the times that computers entered our offices. Did we lose our jobs due to the computers? I don't think so.
Thank you very much, Carlos, for complementing also the question. I think we have another at the back.
Thanks, Paula. I don't want to keep you away from the break, but I mean, just in line what you were mentioning, do you know if there are any studies that explore how healthcare professionals across different specialties perceived indeed a change in the role based on automation or artificial intelligence? And are there any key differences across specialties, like medical specialties?
Well, there is plenty of literature about that, and there have been fields of medicine which have been traditionally closer to the adoption of technology. Certainly radiologists have been more, cardiologists have been more involved into innovation. Probably the last specialization which entered into this digital transformation were ophthalmologists, which, by the way, now they are leading the production of innovation, at least in Europe. If you see the fact sheet by MedTech Europe, you see this bubble which is keeping growing in terms of innovation and technology for ophthalmology. So there are differences among different disciplines, yes. Those are related to the complexity of cases they face, especially when it comes to diagnosis and the preparation of intervention. So those are the two things which, in my experience and by reading literature in this domain, trigger more attention towards the technology. And then there is probably the other side of the spectrum, which are those disciplines where clinicians are more alone. So I mentioned cardiology, or you can think to, I don't know, oncology. There, the work is every time in team, but there are specialization in which the clinician is almost alone. I mean, odontology, ophthalmologists, when they arrive to the end of the day and they have to make the calculations for deciding which lens they have to implant tomorrow for this patient, they are alone and they do not have a team. Well, or often they are in small team and they do not have a large team to work together to find a solution. So those are the two ranges of people in hospital, in clinical settings, which needs more support for innovation. The ones which work alone on a task which is probably simple but repetitive, annoying, prone to risk, which may have huge consequences, as the one I was mentioning before, choosing the right lens for eye implant. And then there are, on the other spectrum, those large teams which face complex intervention or complex diagnosis, which are continuously in need of technology, at least to make objective the discussion among them. And then there is another corner which is really highly and fast growing, which is the one of rare diseases. Rare diseases have been not attentioned for many years for obvious reasons, because innovation there is longer to be repaid. Suddenly, Europe created an interesting mechanism for making at least drugs for rare diseases a fast track. Because if it is a rare disease, you do not have to do the double layer approval in Europe, EMA, and then Italy or Spain or France or wherever. And so this triggered a lot of attention, especially in pharma, towards investing in research for rare diseases. And this has triggered the whole domain of innovation, which is really demanding for a lot of technology for another reason now. And the reason is that you don't have enough patients to train clinicians to make diagnoses. And because of that, AI is the only solution you have. So this is the field where I see a lot of innovation coming from. On the second part of your question about Are there studies about skepticism? Are there studies about mental barriers to the adoption of innovation and transformation? The answer is ask Bea. Bea is an expert, and she's doing a PhD on change management. And this whole discipline is really putting the mind on how we can identify those barriers, which are cultural barriers, which are mental barriers, and how to reassure people that this is natural. I mean, we all fail whatever is new, but then can be systematically overcome. So I don't know if I answered your question because it was complicated.
Thanks, perfectly.
It was very complicated.
Okay, so thank you very much. If there are no more questions, I think we can jump to the coffee break. I would like to thank all of you once again for this fruitful session. So we are going to do a half-an-hour break. Okay, so we will resume at 12:30. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.